Welcome to Zeitgeist. I'm Zuri, that's Alistair, and today we're talking about something that would have sounded insane just a year ago.
Apple and Google teaming up on AI. Yeah, this is a big one.
So here's what just happened. Apple announced a multi-year deal with Google, where Google's Gemini AI will power the next version of Siri. We're talking $1 billion a year Apple is paying Google for this.
Wait, $1 billion a year? Apple, the company that prides itself on doing everything in-house, is now paying Google to fix Siri?
That's exactly what's happening. And to understand why, you have to look at what's been going on with Siri. Remember WWDC 2024? Apple made all these big promises about Apple Intelligence, a smarter Siri that could understand context, take actions in apps, actually be useful.
I remember that. Everyone was hyped.
Right. And then it just didn't happen. The features got delayed from September to October, then delayed again. Then by early 2025, Bloomberg was reporting engineering problems, software bugs, the works. The full Siri overhaul kept getting pushed back. It's now been almost 2 years since that announcement.
So Apple basically admitted they couldn't build it themselves?
In their official statement, they said Google's technology provides, quote, the most capable foundation for Apple foundation models. That's corporate speak for, we tried, it's not working, and Google has what we need.
Okay, but here's my concern. Apple has spent years building this reputation as the privacy company. Google makes money from ads, from data. How does that work?
This is the question everyone's asking, and both companies addressed it directly. According to the joint statement, Gemini will run on Apple's private cloud compute servers. User data stays walled off from Google's infrastructure entirely. Google provides the AI model, but they never see your personal information.
So Google gets $1 billion a year and Apple gets to keep saying they're the privacy company?
That's the deal. Now, whether people actually trust that is another question, but Apple's betting their reputation that this architecture keeps data safe.
What about ChatGPT? Doesn't Apple already have a deal with OpenAI?
They do. ChatGPT is still integrated in iOS for certain features, but for Siri itself, for the core assistant that hundreds of millions of people use every day, Apple chose Gemini. And that's a huge blow to OpenAI.
Why Gemini over ChatGPT, though? OpenAI kind of started this whole AI wave.
A few things. Google's latest Gemini models have caught up and in some benchmarks surpassed GPT-4. Remember, early Gemini had some embarrassing moments like recommending putting glue on pizza, but the new versions are legitimately impressive. Plus, Google has massive infrastructure advantages that matter when you're serving billions of requests.
We just covered DeepSeek shaking up the AI industry. Now it feels like the whole landscape is shifting.
It really is, and this deal validates Google in a major way. After DeepSeek spooked investors and Nvidia lost $500 billion in a day, Google's stock actually went up on this news. Their market cap is now over $4 trillion. The message is clear. Google is back as a serious AI player.
But wait, aren't both Apple and Google being sued by the DOJ? Doesn't this make things more complicated?
Great point. The Department of Justice has an antitrust case against Google over search dominance and another against Apple. One of the proposed remedies is actually ending Google's deal to be the default search engine on iPhones. So now you have these two companies under antitrust scrutiny, making another massive partnership.
That seems like it could get messy.
Potentially. Regulators will definitely be watching this, but AI is moving so fast that both companies probably calculated it's better to get the deal done now and deal with regulatory questions later.
So, what does this mean for regular iPhone users? When do we actually get this new Siri?
Apple says the Gemini-powered Siri launches later this year. Reports suggest we might see a preview in February. The new version is supposed to work more like ChatGPT or Claude, where you can have actual conversations, ask follow-up questions, and it understands context.
So, no more, I found some results on the web?
Hopefully not. The goal is Siri that can actually complete tasks, understand what you're looking at on screen, access your personal context like emails and calendar, and take actions across apps. Everything Apple promised in 2024, but now with Google's AI brain.
Is Apple planning to stick with Gemini long-term, or is this a temporary fix?
Apple is definitely playing the long game here. They've formed a new internal team focused on AI, they're hiring heavily, and reports say they ultimately want to build their own language models capable enough to replace Gemini. This deal buys them time to catch up.
So Gemini is basically a bridge, while Apple figures out their own thing.
Exactly. It's a billion-dollar bridge, but yes, Apple has never been comfortable depending on others for core technology. They moved away from Intel, they built their own chips, they'll eventually want their own AI too. But that could take years, and in AI, years is an eternity.
What a time to be watching tech!
Seriously, 2 weeks ago it was DeepSeek, now Apple and Google joining forces. The AI race is moving faster than anyone predicted, and the alliances are getting very interesting.
If you want to keep up with all this, subscribe. We'll be here when the next bombshell drops.
Thanks for watching. This is Zeitgeist.